Racing is what I do, but all mountain is where I come from. This is the landscape I ride every day. Rocks, roots, and some of the best trails in the world.
Hey guys, welcome to the south of France. I am Fabien Borel. We're gonna spend a bit of time talking about all mountain riding. We will try to cover as many aspects as we can. We're gonna talk about braking, cornering, pedaling efficiency while climbing, talk about equipment, bike setting, just to enjoy the flow of the trail a little bit more. We're gonna learn new techniques. Keep in mind that it will take time and practice before it becomes natural. Slowing yourself down is a good idea as it will help you to get the right movement and the right position before actually getting back up to speed. Let's talk about equipment. All mountain riding is a discipline where you need to be comfortable, breathe easily, and move around the bike. So make sure that you are well equipped. First of all, helmet is pretty important. For your everyday riding, you can have an open face helmet that will provide you a lot of fresh air. But on more mountain races today, you actually need to wear a full face helmet for better protection. This will protect you well, but it will be really hard to breathe into it. So you have in-between model that will provide you better ventilation and more air while racing. All along the DVD, we're going to talk about vision. While riding, you can notice that a lot of debris are flying from the ground and from your front wheel into your eyes. You need to make sure that you are well protected by wearing glasses or goggles, just to be always aware of what's coming at you. Some people use knee pads and some people don't. In my case, I decided to use a very light model. This gives me a very good comfort and a good protection of the kneecap, but also all the flexibility I need to move around the bike. Shoes are a personal thing. Some people will ride with a rigid cross-country shoes to maximize power during the climb. Some others, like me, will actually use a flat sole to give you more flex onto your foot and be able to lower your heels while riding to have a better position going downhill. Before we hit the trail, let's go through basic bike settings. As you may know, all mountain bikes come with a different amount of suspension travel. From 4 to 6 inch, the bike will provide you a different level of performance in uphill and downhill. The handlebar width is pretty important. This will provide you stability and handling into the corners. You need to choose it well depending on your shoulder size. If your handlebar width is a way too wide for your shoulder size, it will be really hard to absorb impact. On the other hand, if your handlebar is a way too narrow, it will be really hard to lean it into the corners. The height of the handlebar is more relative to comfort. You will need to do a couple tests to find the right compromise between having efficient position in climbing, but also a good position for handling in downhill. I personally choose to ride with a really short stem for better handling in downhill. The angle of your brake levers will have a lot bigger impact on your riding style than you may think. If your levers are set too low or too high, this will put too much stress onto your wrist. You need to make sure that you find the right compromise to find comfort, but also to better absorb impacts. Having your forefinger on the lever will give you a maximum leverage. The mistake that many riders do is to have the lever too close to the handlebar grip. The most recent technology in all mountain riding is the telescopic seat post. You can have a perfect position while climbing and be able to easily and quickly drop your seat to have maximum movement on the bike in downhill. As bikes become better and the terrain we're riding rougher, losing our chain becomes an issue. Now that we have 10-speed gearing available, we have the possibility to ride a simple chainring with a chain guide. This will still provide you a wide range of gearing, but also provide you a good confidence to power yourself out of the corners. That's all the basic bike settings covered. Now let's go talk about riding.
Your position in a straight line is something often overlooked by many riders. However, it is the base of your entire riding style and the platform on which you can improve.
A straight line gives you the opportunity to relax. You need to have a comfortable position, but you also need to be ready to absorb the impacts that are coming ahead of you. Some people don't realize that your main suspension comes from your body. The overall movement you can get out of your arm and legs is far bigger than your bike can give you. Your position has to allow you maximum possible movement. To give you a simple demonstration, if I stand on my bike, you can see that I have a really relaxed position. If I go on tippy toes, you can see that all my legs are tense. If I actually put my heels down, I have the whole amplitude from my ankle to absorb all the vibration and small impacts. All big impact will be absorbed by my knees and my overall leg, and I can see that I actually have the overall amplitude and movement of my body to absorb all big impacts coming at me.
When riding in a straight line on a trail, having your heel low, knee slightly bent and elbow slightly bent will allow you to absorb eventual impacts coming at you. This position, if comfortable, will allow you to relax at fairly high speed. You can also see that my head is up, looking forward at the trail. Summary of straight line. Ankles, elbow and knee have to be slightly bent, ready to absorb. Look ahead on the trail to anticipate obstacles and try to relax. The skill of cornering is one of the most important techniques for any all-mountain rider. The ability to throw the bike around in between turns will increase the flow and speed on the trail. The objective when riding any corner is to gain maximum grip in order to increase the speed that you exit the turn.
Here is an example of a nice, smooth and flat corner. In this situation, you want to make sure that to maximize your grip, you will be able to use all your body weight, your body mass to actually push your tire into the ground. For this, you need to make sure that you lean your bike but not your body to maximize the pressure. The overall concept is to be able to lean your bike into the corner and keep your body vertical. To achieve this, what you need to do is to transfer all your weight on your outside pedal. Keep your heel low, have your knee against the frame to control your bike, and make sure that you bring your elbow up to control your direction.
The mistake that many people make is to lean your body into the turn. As you can see on this wrong technique, leaning your body on the inside of the turn will push the bike out of the corner. If you watch closely, at the end of this clip, you will see my tire sliding out. The best way to ride most corners is to lean your bike into the turn to apply maximum pressure on the edge of your tires. As you can see, by having your elbow high, this allows you to keep your chest in a more vertical position whilst leaning your bike into the turn. From the moment I adopt the cornering technique, I have my head up and I'm looking to the exit of the turn. By looking at the rear view, you can see that dropping my ankle allows me to lower my center of gravity and apply more pressure on the outside pedal. This will increase the force of the tire on the ground. My outside knee onto the frame will help me to control the direction of the bike.
So I'm coming into the corner. I lean the bike and put pressure on the outside pedal. Here we are at a switchback. In this situation, even more than other corner, you need to set yourself nice and wide at the entrance of it. You will need to lean your bike and put all your weight on your outside pedal, which is going to be low, and tilt your elbow high to be able to lean your bike but not your body, all this at low speed. practice your cornering technique, what you can do is use a nice and wide road to just practice your position. You can just put yourself into a situation where you're going to lean your bike but not your body by dropping your heels on the outside of the corner and using your elbow to steer your bike in the direction of the corner.
Summary of cornering. Lean the bike into the corner but not your body. Put your weight on the outside pedal. Look towards the exit of the turn. The way to go fast is to know how and where to brake. Slowing yourself down at the right time will allow you to carry speed but also to stay in control.
Here we are at the approach of a corner. As you can see, we have a pretty high speed run-in into a tight corner. The surface is pretty loose and it will be really hard to maintain grip and traction under braking. To make your braking the most efficient, you need to lower your gravity center to apply a force with the bike onto the ground and maximize your grip. 70% of your braking force will come from your front brake. This will help you to load your front wheel and steer your bike into the corner. To keep the flow of the trail, you need to make sure that you do all your braking before the corner to carry speed out of it. Okay, I'm coming on the corner now, so I need to be on the brakes now, off the brake.
Under heavy braking, you want to lower your center of gravity to increase your grip and force your tire onto the ground. This will also allow you to have more stability while slowing down. Bending your knees and flexing your ankle will reinforce this position. Make sure you keep your head up and look at the apex.
Here is a ridge line, steep and technical, where you need to control your speed. You need to make sure that you keep your heel low, elbows and knee flexed to lower your gravity center and control your speed down the line. As I come down the section, I need to make sure that I shift my weight back to control my speed and not overload my front wheel.
To summarize braking, 70% of your braking force is coming from your front brake. Lowering your center of gravity will improve grip and increase stability. Move your weight back for steeper sections. Choosing your line into a turn brings together your cornering and braking technique to maintain the flow of a trail. The goal of any corner is to maximize your exit speed.
So this is a pretty basic corner. You can see that you got like a pretty wide entrance where you can pretty much choose your line. A nice run in with the apex that is simulated by a tree over there and a nice run out. So in a situation like this, what you would like to do is to be able to control your braking, have a nice part of the approach of the corner where you're going to set yourself up wide on the entrance to be able to carry as much speed out of it. We can see here that we have many possibilities. Many riders will come tie on the inside straight from the braking and actually get stuck into the corner and not be able to carry any speed out of it. What you want to do in this situation, in the approach, is be able to control your braking to set yourself up nice and wide, to be able to have your vision pointing at the apex on the inside, steer your bike to be able to control your line in the first part, and then let the brake go to carry as much speed as you can out of the corner. In this clip, you can see the two different lines into a corner. You can see the inside line going faster to the apex, but losing time and speed by going wide on the exit. Here is another example of a situation where you need to set yourself up wide before the corner in order to gain an early exit and get in line for the next turn. If we stop the video, you can see me positioning the bike on the edge of a trail to set up for the corner. As you can see, the line choice will set you up for a fast exit to the turn. This will allow you to use your cornering technique to dynamically transfer your body weight. Okay, now I am approaching the corner and make sure I set myself up wide, put the outside pedal low, keep the traction and accelerate in the straight. To summarize line choice, look ahead to plan your line. Set yourself wide on the approach to the turn. Link your cornering and braking technique to maximize exit speed. Climbing is a huge part of all mountain riding. Tackling the most technical climbs requires both efficient pedaling and line choice. This will stop you having to carry your bike on difficult trails. On this section, we can see a pretty loose surface. You need to make sure that you're pedaling smooth and efficiently to control grip and maximize your traction. Having your heels down will allow you to put more force onto the ground with your wheels. Having your knees slightly on the outside will balance yourself on the climb. Okay, one of the main important things is to actually be on the center of the bike and find the right traction just to control your grip, even if it's pretty slippery. Successful climbing comes from two main aspects. Smooth pedaling is achieved by applying a constant force in a circular motion rather than stamping on the pedals. Good body position will supply you with good grip and stability. Here you can see that my position is central on the bike. My shoulders are towards the handlebar to stop my front wheel lifting, and my heels are low to increase power. When you come to a steep section, you have the opportunity to stand up out of the saddle. Make sure you don't move your weight too far forward or you will lose grip on the rear wheel.
To summarize for climbing: smooth pedaling in a circular action. Keep a central position to maximize your balance and grip. When standing up on a steep climb, keep your knees slightly bent. Look ahead at the trail to smartly choose your line. In all mountain climbing, being able to climb up over a step will allow you to maintain flow on the trail.
While climbing, on the approach to a step, you need to make sure that you control your speed. You want to bring your front wheel to the top. You want to compress your suspension by applying force on the pedal to spring your weight up and forward to bring your rear wheel to the top. On the approach to a step, I want to lift my front wheel to the top and spring my weight up and forward.
To summarize climbing a step: lift your front wheel to the top of the step. Throw your body weight up and forward to lift your back wheel. Jumping is something everyone likes to do. On a trail, a simple rocks, roots, or rough terrain can be used to launch your bike into the air. We will go through some different techniques you can use.
The first thing you want to know about jumping is to be relaxed on the bike is going to make you balance in the air. If you are able to come into the transition and apply pressure with your arm and legs to get at maximum height, you will be able to clear the jump. To be comfortable in the air, you need to make sure that you have your wheels approximately level. Once you see that you actually clear the overall length of the jump, you need to make sure that you push on your handlebar to dive your front wheel into the landing.
On the takeoff, have your heels low, your knees and elbows slightly bent to apply pressure on the transition. As soon as you are in the air, you should look to spot the landing. If you are relaxed, you will be able to dive your front wheel smoothly onto the downslope. Squashing a jump will allow you to smoothly negotiate a distance that is too short for the speed you are traveling. It can also be used to gain speed down the trail. This is done by absorbing the takeoff transition.
We have been seeing many scenarios for jumping. In this situation, you can see a pretty nice run-in into a pretty steep transition. What you want to make sure is that you spend as much time on the ground because you got a pretty tight corner just right behind. You will use the first part of the leap to pull the bike on the top and land as early as you can on the back slope to steer your bike into the corner.
Coming onto a step down, slightly pulling on the handlebar or pushing the bike forward will allow you to nose your front wheel onto the landing.
I'm coming into a blind takeoff. I take the time to steer the landing, pull on the handlebar and push on the landing.
To summarize jumping, try to relax when jumping. Apply pressure on the transition to gain height. Absorb takeoff to stay low in the air. Riding a drop-off is a situation you will face all the time in all mountain riding. Having a good technique will prevent you from going over the handlebar and carry speed after the landing.
As you can see here, we have a pretty big drop-off onto the flat. What you want to make sure is that when you get to the edge, you'll be ready to extend your arm to move your bike forward. Extend your legs to bring your rear wheel as early as you can onto the ground, and use this extension to absorb the terrain once landed.
As you can see, my arms are extended, legs are bent, and my weight is right over the back wheel. Once the rear wheel comes off the drop, I extend my legs down and my weights move back to the center of the bike, ready to absorb.
Here is an example of a type of drop-off where you have a steep landing. You want to make sure that you don't drop your rear wheel first and take the risk to flip yourself over the back. You want to make sure that you apply a pressure on your handlebar to dive your front wheel into the landing and be able to control your speed as early as possible.
Because the landing is on a slope, you want to drop your front wheel over the edge by pushing your handlebar forward and down.
So as I am approaching the step down, what I want to do is control my speed, look at the landing and dive into it.
To summarize for drop-offs, if the landing is flat, make sure you shift your weight back and drop your rear wheel first. If the landing is on a gradient, dive your front wheel to bring the bike parallel to the slope.
After teaching you all those techniques, I will leave Paul Walton, my mechanic, with you having a few words about suspension settings.
Hi, my name is Paul Walton and I'm the mechanic for the Mondraker factory team. I've been working with Fabien Barrel for 8 years and this is the 4th year as a mechanic for the team. I'm going to talk to you today about how to set up your suspension on your all-mountain bike. There's lots of different tips that I can give you to help you enjoy your ride more. Right, so the first thing we need to set up is the sag. Depending if you've got an air fork or a spring fork, you've got two different ways of doing that. Both of them will be done on the top here by this little knob. In this case it's an air fork, so by unscrewing this cap you've got an air valve underneath. On the other forks with a spring type, this little cap, by turning it preloads the spring. The sag you're wanting to look for is between 25 and 30%, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. And what you do is you climb on the bike into your riding position, leaning against the wall is normally the easiest, and slightly push on the fork. You'll see that this little rubber ring will move up the fork. When you get off the bike, it'll be left up And if you measure the distance from that little rubber ring to the top of the seal, you'll get a measurement that you can then divide and get your percentage. Okay, so once you've got your sag set up, the next thing we need to do is sort out the hydraulic control. In the case of this fork, which is an all-mounted specific fork, we've got a low-speed compression adjuster. The low-speed compression adjuster will prevent the fork from diving under braking, and also in the case of the rear shock, it stops the bike from bobbing under pedaling. On this fork, we've also got a lockout. The lockout you would use primarily on climbs or on really flat roads to prevent the bike from bobbing under pedaling. We've also got a lockout force adjuster. In this configuration, you could use it for really steep descents. If you don't want the fork to dive too much, you could open up your lockout force adjustment and close the lockout. Also, we've got the rebound adjuster at the bottom. Now the rebound adjuster, you want to set so that the fork doesn't spring back too much. Basically, when you go into 3/4 of the travel, which you should be able to apply by just pushing on the fork really hard, if you let go at that point, you don't want the wheel to bounce up off the ground. At the same time, you don't want to be so slow that the wheel takes ages to react. Okay, so I think we're finished with the fork. Let's talk about the rear shock. The first thing to set is going to be the sag. On the sag, you've got a small ring, the same as what you had on the fork, which moves up and down, and that we're going to adjust with the air pressure on the shock. Some shocks you'll have a coil spring, in which case you need to adjust your sag by means of rotating the adjuster on the spring. Okay, so let's talk about the hydraulic of the rear shock. As with the fork, you've got a compression setting and a rebound setting. In this case, we've got a pro pedal lever, which allows you to have a firmer shock for when you want to pedal, on the flats or on the climbs. Here we've also got 3 settings for that pro pedal lever. We've got number 1 being the easiest and number 3 being the firmest. For the rebound adjuster, what you want to do is set it as we did with the fork. Basically that means that when you go deep into the stroke of the rear shock, if you take all the pressure off the bike, you don't want the bike to spring up. At the same time, when you're riding along a flat or on a climb, you want to have enough rebound damping so that the bike doesn't bob.
There you go, guys. I hope you guys learned some good tips. We definitely had good laughs doing this DVD. I probably will see you sometimes on the trail, so don't forget to have fun and enjoy.